All right, testing. I hope all is well this week. Hope my mic is well. All right, so we're going to get started with our discussion this week. We last left off speaking about a lot of financial powers that we have, but we're getting into more of detailed powers as well. We'll talk about how you have to manage the powers of attorney also for the minors. We'll be talking about that this week as we go forward from a lot of the discussions we've had in the past about power of attorney. And we'll get into details today to also show how far the power of attorney goes um, as far as the hospital. We're going to get into all that today. But just to open up with a little bit of warm up for our minds so we can get started, I wanted to firstly get an idea of what we all think of a power of attorney. Now, I know that this is new to some of us. We've never thought of a power of attorney throughout our life until maybe something happened, or maybe, we got into a jam or we got into jail or anything could have happened, right? So, we're going to just break down what that means when we say power of attorney. And then we'll get into how this also correlates with your taxes, your banking, your credit, real estate, and even managing stores. As it goes on from managing your businesses, you also have to manage your health, which is a very important is your health. And even more important than your health, um, will also be managing others, such as the minors, managing other beneficiaries, minors, or people that are we'll say younger than 18. So this goes as far as even people that are in our family, relatives, nieces, nephews, children that are in your neighborhood. It could be any situation of where you will be in the position that you have to take upon the power to manage, which we'll call beneficiaries today. We're going to break it down and say that these are truly the first beneficiaries of a trust as we begin to manage the details of ourselves so that we can understand how to also become beneficiary. So that's getting into some of the layers. Some of our people are new. Some people are already knowing what this is about when you have a trust. What I mean by a trust, I'm saying a revocable living trust. This is the only trust that proves that you're living. So we're not here to try to prove that which trust is better, which trust is not, or which trust works, which trust doesn't work. We don't get into that because every trust works for you. You have to make the trust work for you. You cannot basically say, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to let it do its own thing. So that's why we're here to discuss live about comments, questions, shares, reasoning. We want to kind of pick our brain to see what we think about any of this information. And even if you work with the government, even if you work with the federal government, it still benefits you as well. You can be any office of the government. You still would need to understand how to do the revocable living trust. Even if you're like a young person, maybe you're 18, 19, you need to learn how to do the revocable living trust. So we're here to explain it in detail so that everyone has an understanding of what we're going to be doing and how to actually use that. Nobody here is perfect. We're not going to say, hey, you have done everything greatly and rightly the first time. Some of us are going to make mistakes. So don't have no fear of making any mistakes because you can just simply correct them because you have a revocable trust now. That's what revocable means. It means you can amend your ways, you can change things, you can update things, you can correct the errors, you can correct your faults, you can do anything you want as long as it doesn't harm anyone or cause too much damage, we're going to say. That's what takes you out of the common law. Once you harm someone or cause a lot of damage, whether it's someone talking about someone, and it is defaming the character, this is something that can harm someone. So you have to be careful with your words that you choose to use once you're in a revocable living trust, because it will come back on you if you aren't careful, we're going to say. So this is the highest level of law. We want to make sure everyone knows that trust law is the highest level. So do things accordingly as best as possible. This is always professional. I want you to be professional at all times. If you can, learn how to be professional. Do so. Be better than the corporations because the corporations are going to stay professional with you. And then when you violate their policies or their rules, they're able to enforce their consequences. They're able to do that because they have given you due notice and understanding of what they're going to do. So just breaking the ice for anybody wanting to get started, we like to give you all Q&A, comments and questions. If you have questions about taxes, today isn't going to go into details about what I'm going to put on my software or my Schedule C. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk mainly about power of attorney, because if you don't have the power, then it doesn't matter what you type on your taxes, because if you don't believe you have the power or you don't know you have it, then you're just going to go and do these things and still, in a way, still feel skeptical or feel confused. So if anybody's confused, remember, confusion is of which we'll call anything that's to mess up what you have going on. That's a confusion. And that is confusing your mind, that causes you to go into misunderstandings or mistakes. So no one should ever be confused whenever you're dealing with a trust. A trust is not meant to be confusing, it's meant to be simple. This is why we create something called a simple trust. We don't get into complex trust, because complex trust is confusing if you really don't know what you're doing. And then you're going to have to hire a guru, hire a teacher, a mentor, or even an attorney, which we're going to get into how, as you all give power of attorney over, you're still doing that on the private side. So even if you're on the private, you're saying you're so private, well, you can still give private power of attorney over. You can still give your private power of attorney over if you aren't careful with making sure you're managing and maintaining your power at all time when you're doing a trust. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I want to make sure that we fully know how to do this. I have been able to do this myself for a number of years. I know that it works. Nobody has ever taught me any of this information that I'm talking about. I didn't sit under a master or a guru. I just studied the IRS code, and I just studied the information when they say power of attorney. I look at the statute. When it says power of attorney, I read online. I look at all types of information. So this is how I get to these conclusions. I don't have any other way of doing this except for studying as much as you all have to study as well. So let me get into some of the announcements of what we'll be talking about today. And I think I posted it on the announcements. Be sure to log on to universitytechnicians.com. If you're here and you're just hanging around Telegram, or you're just hanging around on chats, or just watching YouTube videos, it really won't get you as far as universitytechnicians.com will, because we have way more information on that website available to you than online. And we do this on purpose because we don't want you to get caught on social media or any other platforms, because if you're on other platforms, this also takes over, which they can take power of attorney too. As much as information you have on their platform, they actually can take power of attorney. So there's so many ways that you all can get caught with this power of attorney. But we're here to break down how you're not going to get caught in those ways at this point anymore. So let's get to the notes of what I have at this moment. I was trying to pull it up on the screen for you, but let me go ahead and share it again so I can see sole power of attorney. Airdrop it. Okay, it's here. And then I'm going to share the screen so you all can see. Nope, that's not the right. All right, so as you see, sole power of attorney is different than just a regular power of attorney that a lot of us have possibly done in the past. We're not here to do individual powers of attorney, because if you're an individual, then it's easy for you to lose power of attorney. So we're no longer the individual, we have to become the soul. So if this is your first time on this call, if you have not studied into understanding that a sole proprietor is what activates you as a trust. So if this is new to you, this is something that we also start with first. And then we're also able to manage our trust, revocable trust as well. So you have two trusts you're managing. You're managing yourself, you're a trust, and you're managing a revocable living trust, which is a revocable EIN. So that's what gives you this power. If you have those things, then you already have the power. right? So we want to make this easy. This isn't difficult. This isn't confusing. The only thing that's confusing if you choose to go back and ask them questions or affirm the internet and say, well, the internet said this or this person told me that. This will then become your power of attorney again. So you got to understand this is a very important information that you use to have authority. And you're going to be doing the same thing for the minors. That's why this is important that you totally understand how to do this for yourself first. And once you get yourself right, then you can help your relatives, help your family members, help your friend, help your homeboy, your homegirl, all these people. Because if you keep trying to help everybody else and you're not right, then you're not going to be able to help anyone, actually. It's just going to be a circle. Like they say, someone's going in circles. Well, you go in circles if you don't have power of attorney. This is why this works. This is why it's one of our last courses we teach or instruct is the power of attorney course. So the instructions for today, we will discuss once you get your powers. So we're assuming you all already understand how to get your powers. And no, it's not just sending in a document to the IRS. We're going to make sure we truly make sure we know it's not just sending in a document to the IRS. There's a lot more to do after you do that. So once you get your powers and authority updated in the system, how you will have authority to do the same for all minors until they turn 18, in some cases age 25. So that's right. So all those children and those youth that you all had, if you're a parent, if you raised youth or you raised children, you were supposed to take care of their business until they turn 18. And then when they turn 18, if you didn't do that, you still have more years that you're supposed to help manage their business with them, or at least instruct them how to do business. That's from age 18 to 25. So we're talking about 7 years after they turn 18 that you're supposed to help. We're going to say the beneficiaries, the youth. Some of us say, well, I don't have any children. I don't have anybody that I have to take care of. Well, you still have nieces, you got nephews, you got other family members that's in your family that's under 18. You may be in a community. You may be able to adopt some people. So for those who are saying, well, I don't have any of those to worry about, well, you may have to at some point because no one's going to be able to maintain your trust if you can't pass it on to the next generation. So that's really what this makes this whole thing works is you being able to pass it on to the next generations. So you're going to learn how to activate minor powers of attorney to take powers back from the state statutory birth record. So I'm going to go deep for y'all today because I know some of us are still trying to overstudy this information. We don't want you to overstudy anything. Get out of their system, get out of their knowledge because they're just going to keep taking you down rabbit holes in their power. So we're going to show you how the state statutory birth records is the beginning power. This is how they took power from all of you. Every single one of us. They took all the power from us. And it's our chance now to get it back. So you're going to learn how to activate the minor powers of attorney too, to take powers back from the state statutory birth records. Now, some of us may still need to do this for ourselves. So I'm going to go over some basic documents that may seem new, but they are basic documents. The first thing we're going to do an introduction to, and I'll open up after this part. We'll go into Q&A once I get to reloaded topic discussion. But our intro to birth affidavit, that's going to be our first thing we're going to say is an exhibit today for you all to get power for the youth. So you have a birth affidavit. That's your first things first. Next, you get your birth affidavit. If you don't have a birth affidavit, then they still have power. No, it's not an affidavit of ownership. It's not the same as an affidavit of ownership because you never owned the birth certificate. It's impossible. We don't care what you all try to do to the birth certificate. You can try to say this, say that, use their system, do this. We know for sure they still have limited power somewhere, even if you did as much as you possibly can. So the birth affidavit overtakes that because you have an affidavit of birth. You never needed their birth certificate. You all can look this up as much as possible, and I'll prove this today. And I'll be using AI to prove to you that you could have created your birth affidavit when you were at the hospital. right? You could have created the birth affidavit when you was at the hospital. And you're going to give the birth affidavit to the nurse station and to all these people because they're just going to ask you all these questions. And then you're going to basically give them all these answers and they're going to create the birth. So this is why I'm going a little deep today because some of us are still stuck into a lot of documents. We're still stuck into trying to do a whole many processes. But your birth affidavit is really very important. This also takes you from under the Vatican, which is one of the highest jurisdiction of this planet. If you can't get from under the church, then we already know that it's impossible for you to do almost anything. And we're not saying the church is a bad place. We're just saying you have to get from under the church too. Not only you got to get from under the state, you got to get from under the church. All right. So that's why I said I'm going a little deep today. The birth and the baptisms. And then remember, you have to do this for yourself. So if you don't do this for yourself first, we already know you can't do this for the minors. So this is your intro to power of attorney for the minor. Also, you want to make sure you understand the introduction to the power of attorney for the minor. So first things first, you get your power of attorney. For you take it back from the state, and then you go ahead and get the powers of attorneys for the minors, and you take the powers of attorney back from the state to over the minors. Next is introduction to the medical power. Aha. That's why we got everybody right here. We thought it was it. We thought all we had to do was get guardianship. But no, guardianship isn't enough, you all. You're going to have to do a little bit more than just get guardianship. You need introduction to your medical power of attorney. Yes, they have power. Once y'all go and sign those documents at that house, at that hospital, or that clinic, or that HIPAA, you have given them power of attorney. I know some of y'all know what that is. The HIPAA, HIPAA. What is it? HIPAA? Yeah, HIPAA. So yeah, your power of attorney directive for your medical has to be in place too. Very important.
Can you hear
All right.
me?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rojo.
I have a question. You were on the birth certificate, and it just clicked in my head. What if you were not born in this country?
What is okay? This is where I start picking brains. I'm glad you asked that question. What is this country to you?
A place of opportunity.
What does that mean to you? A place of opportunity. What is that? What is this country? What is this place?
Uh, More like a corporation. Now that I'm looking at it, it's a
Ah,
corporation.
there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just heard that. I'm like, you know what? I wasn't born in the country. I'm like, that might be an issue that might come up. They might use it against me. So I wanted to ask before you go on any further.
Well, that's the problem with all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all have put ourselves under the corporation in the beginning. So that's why you have to do the birth affidavit. We don't care if you are or was a US citizen or you're not a US citizen. It's the same step. Everyone is
Okay.
supposed to do a birth affidavit, right?
All right. Got you.
Makes sense? No matter what country I'm in. Because if I'm in South America, it's still America. If I'm in Central America, I'm still in America. If I'm in North America, I'm still in America, right? Just picking everybody's brain. Go ahead, Ro. I see you. I see you on the mic.
No, I was just listening, but I wanted, if you asked me a question, I wanted to answer, but I'm just gonna listen now.
Yeah, go ahead. I want you to make sure you see what you're
Well, that
doing with the
that
birth
that's the
affidavit.
only thing because I don't think I've had any clarity on that. So I wanted to make sure before I step forward because, as you said, it's important for us to understand what we're doing.
Hmm. Because
Yeah.
some of us put ourselves right back under the corporation. The
Okay.
corporation is, we're going to just say, all of these countries in the world, all of the countries, they're all corporations.
All right.
We got
Thank
a
you, man.
guy who came in, the guy who came in from, yeah, thank you as well. I got a guy came in who came from another country. I think they were in Britain. Had a guy last year. And yes, he had to get from under United Kingdom. Because if you're under United Kingdom, you're under them. So this is important for you all to see this part with the power of attorney over the birth affidavit, the power of attorney over your minor, the power of attorney over your medical. Medical is big. I'm still working on mine. It's not the last will and testament. That's something else. They all got you all with estate plan and they ready for you to just go and pass on. They want to give you the estate plan. It's funny. Why are you making me an estate plan? Right? This is where we get to life. It says how to take back your life. Wow. That's some big stuff right there. How to take back your life from the hospitals. It's some big stuff. You're taking your life back. Remember, they're giving you life through a birth certificate. How do you get life through a birth certificate when they give it to you? Now you're in their system. Now you're using the birth certificate. They don't recognize you as a living man or living woman. They only recognize the birth certificate. And the birth certificate connects to your social security card. And your social security card connects to your what? Your ID. That's why we have to take our life back. So you take your life back from the hospitals. This is the highest law in the United States for those who don't know. Medical overrides any court case. We don't care how big the court case is. Medical overrides court cases. Does that make sense? What else overrides? Go ahead, brother Raven.
What does that mean exactly? Medical overrides court case. Because I hear the words, but that doesn't sounds like an oxymoron.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm glad you say this. So when you have a, a expert witness come in, like a doctor, and they say so and so has a medical condition. This is why so and so was doing this and doing that, right? This is what I'm saying. The court case is overrode by the doctor. The doctor is an expert witness that tells the court XYZ. We
Okay,
notice we
so
know the same thing,
go
right?
ahead, go ahead.
Same thing with vaccinations, right? Vaccinations. Medical
So
overrides court. So
so
go ahead.
so this is the main question I got with the hospitals, right? Because I was patiently waiting for this topic. Let's say worst case scenario, emergency happens. I need to go to the hospital, right? Let's say the ambulance picked me up and they take me to the hospital, and whatever paperwork is necessary to be done, right? In my head, I don't know this paperwork, so I'm just asking as an open question. I'm letting them know that I have a revocable living trust, or I fill out the trust information for whatever they asking me for, or I just be patient, go through the process, and when they bill me, just go through the process of the billing, 1099, and these
Mm-mm.
different things.
No,
And
no, 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 no. You're going too
okay,
far.
go ahead.
You're in a, you're too far in a corporation now at this point. You said it in the beginning, like they're gonna ask you questions. You're gonna say, well, look, I have a power of attorney. I have a medical power of attorney. I need you to put this in y'all system.
That's it. Just that's the response.
That's the
I have
response.
the
Yeah.
medical power of attorney.
That's right. Don't they when they come to the room, don't they always ask questions?
Right. Okay.
You see? And we don't ever give them this because we're thinking that, you know, they're in charge because it's true. They are. Until we take back the power. That's why the hospital is one of the hardest ones because, you know, you kind of feel like you don't want to make these people mad, upset. You don't want them to do, but they're not going to get mad. They actually tell you on the hospital website. They actually say, "Do you have a power of attorney?" We're gonna show this on the screen just for those who are new. to the power of attorney information. But it's very important that you, like for instance, the ambulance. The ambulance is going to take you because this is the law. You know, they're going to pick you up, take you to the hospital. Then the hospital is going to be able to recognize in the system if this person has a what? A medical power directive in their system or in any system, right? So this
which
works
is
with all.
already which is already under the trust, which is already recorded. So when they look it up, they should be able to simply see these things, right?
No, they're not going to see your medical power just because you have a revocable living trust. All right. A medical power is something you have to create because you're
So
taking
we
the
have to
power from
create
the hospital.
another document and get it
Yes.
notarized. Okay. All right.
Yes. There you go. It has to be created. Like you got to create another birth affidavit, right? Because didn't they create a birth certificate for all the minors too? All the children. They created a birth certificate for every member of the house. Did they not?
Yes.
Okay. So you got to take the power back from each of those birth certificates with a birth affidavit, right? To the same hospital that created it. So I'm giving y'all some answers to how you do this. You see, the same hospital that brought you in is the same hospital you need to go and take the power back.
So, for example, myself, I was born Miami Shore Hospital, right? But that hospital doesn't exist anymore. But then also, I don't live in Tallahassee anymore, but my children were born in Tallahassee. For the children, I would have to go to the Tallahassee hospital.
For the children, you would get the power of attorney for the hospital that took over whatever that hospital was for you.
Hmm.
And you'll get that for you. And then for the children, you get the one from the hospital they were born. It's a birth affidavit. You create a birth affidavit, you put the location. Even if the hospital doesn't exist, you still put that information on your birth affidavit.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Makes sense, right?
Right.
Yep. So
So
then
then who you
that's how
turn
you
that
do it.
into? Who receives that birth
It's a birth. It's
affidavit?
it's a birth affidavit. Think about it.
So you just need to have it on hand available for if you go to the hospital, you can just show them the documents.
Yeah, you give it as a packet. Birth
Okay.
affidavit, power of attorney for the minor, medical power directive, right? This is you're taking the life back because you got to take the life of the children and the life of yourself back from the hospital. The hospitals are the ones that created all these documents. You all, well, not all of them. They just created the birth. They help you. They help you. The birth certificate gets created and given over to the state. That's one of the first things that's created for some reason. This is going to blow you all as well. Who's in charge? Who's actually telling them to do this? I'm going to reveal to you today. If you didn't know this answer, I'm going to show you today of who's been in charge of the birth certificates, who's been telling them to do this the entire time. It's the CDC. Some of us don't know who the CDC is, but they call them the CDC or the Center. Let me type it in for Disease Control. All right. So the CDC is in charge of all birth records over the whole planet. So it doesn't matter if you were born in the United States and you moved out of the United States to another location, they still have your birth record forever. As a matter of fact, CDC they said it was United Nations. They were listening to the CDC when they was getting directives over the whole world. So yes, this is the beginning. This is where it all started from, you all. CDC. So they have power. They have the power of attorney right now until we take this power of attorney back from them. And the way you do this, I just gave the answers of how you do this, but I just wanted to pick y'all brain to show you why this power of attorney is your authority over the minors. You got to do this for each and every minor that's in your trust. So this fully creates all layers of your life plan. Like they try to sell y'all life plans. Well, this is your life plan right here. You have a life plan. You know, you're living. You're in the living trust. So how could you be in any of their dead corporations? They say they only create things for we already went over this last week. That was the last thing we talked about. Everything underwater. They're never going to create anything above water for you. Ever. No matter how much you want them to do it. This is when we get into delusion. When we start being delusional, thinking that they're doing anything for you. They're never ever doing anything to benefit you. But you have to make sure you get your beneficial interests. You have to get the benefit. This is one of the ways you do it. So I wanted to open up to the birth affidavit, the power of attorney for the minor, and the intro to the medical power directives to show us where we are right now. If you're going to get started with your powers and authority, these are one of the first things that you want to get started with. Then I'll get into other parts, which we'll talk about in just a few, which we'll speak on the power of attorney, like the general durable one that most of us are going to be dealing with the state. So for now, I'll open up with comments, questions, and shares, and I'll get back into our reloaded topic discussion. How do I understand laws of human nature? Then we get into our highlighted course, power of attorney. All right, still see a hand raised, Brother Raymond, see your hand. I'm going to pull up a few screens of some of the documents that I'm speaking of for the powers of attorney and birth affidavit, things like that.
This right now you're taking questions
Yeah, we're
on
in our Q&A
power
session on,
for the children, power of attorney for the children.
well, just in general, all power of attorney, no matter what it is, right? Because,
Okay,
there's layers to your power because some of us are still, you know, trying to figure this out. So we just want to answer, I'll pick anybody's brain that's dealing with this because you may have a custody issue. Some of us may have to try to maybe get custody. Some of us may need to
that,
deal
that,
with
that's my
guardianship.
question right now. That's my question right now.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. We got all layers. Custody, caregiver right. You may want to take care of your granddad.
Right.
We may want to take care of somebody in our family that we trying to get caregiver. These are the layers. Well, go ahead, brother.
So, um, executing my power of attorney to allow the trust to, uh, uh, I don't know the verbiage, so work with me, to be the plaintiff to go ahead and claim the kids under the children under the trust, right? So that they can be claimed under the trust. So my question as far as the power of attorney, once we go in as the trustee representing the trust to claim the children, right? I'm the attorney for the children on their behalf. I speak on their behalf, right? And now I understand also that the trust law is the highest law. Also, once I go in, I don't agree to swearing in, right? Now, my question is, since I have power of attorney, there are protocols in court that I don't specifically know. Me having official power of attorney, am I held to the same lawyer standards in every scenario as far as executing the court process?
Right. Short answer is that when you have power of attorney, you're in court. You have something called general durable power of attorney. So in order for you to even talk in court, you have to have general durable power of attorney. They won't even talk to you. And if they do talk to you, they're gonna put you in as pro se or individual. But at the same time, that is what that is. Like if you're talking to them, you're actually acting as power of attorney. So that's first things first. Now you must act on behalf of the minors or the children. So you must put in another document for each of the for both of the children, if you have two or three or even one. So there's two documents: your power of attorney and the power of attorney for the minors. That's how that would look if I was standing in court. That was the first thing that I would do.
So now I have to have, because I already have a power of attorney document for the children, but I have to have an official one for myself.
Right. You can remember you can't have power over any situation that somebody else dealing with if we don't have power over our own.
Right.
That's just for anybody trying to help a whole bunch of other people. Well, we got to help ourselves first. I mean, at the same time, help the other person as you help yourself. We'll say it like that. So let's say you're walking through it together. Yeah. You know, make sure you help
So,
yourself as well.
so now that I update them appropriately, right, properly, my power of attorney, the documents that I have power of attorney over the children, at this point, my understanding, and I'm asking a question, is that I'm just updating the court with what I want to do moving forward as far as a parenting plan, time sharing, or whatever.
Right. Yeah. You're motioning the court. You're petitioning the court. That's what they call that, petitioning or motioning. Those are two words they may use in certain states or countries, whatever, right? But we're the ones moving the court. Ain't nothing happening. They can't do anything for you unless you do it.
Unless I make them do it, I go in and have a motion and go through the process as the trustee, though, following
Mm-hmm.
that. And then, okay, got you.
Mm-hmm. Remember, it's all presented on your docs when you turn them in anyway. It shows that you're the trustee, you got your power of attorney, you got the power of attorney for the minors, and then you can talk.
So now
It,
when I go to the school board, do I give them those same documents? Well, that same power of attorney so that they just understand the children belong to the trust
yeah,
and
absolutely. Absolutely. It's
okay.
the school board. So to be in your case, like me, I'm the Florida Department of Education.
Hmm.
So then you would talk to them directly saying, hey, well, look, you all are really in charge, not the school. So this is what I need you to do for the youth.
Right, right. Because they run the school. So it's not that school district in particular.
Mhm.
Is for Florida, Florida Department of Education. Got you.
Right. That's anyone. Let's say you in New York Department of Education. You know,
Right.
we get mad at the school, we get mad at the principal. You know,
Hmm.
we're trying to take them to court, but realistically, it's the Department of Education that has jurisdiction over them.
Hmm.
Then you
Okay.
got your what's that guy? That person you got to go through first. The superintendent for the schools.
Superintendent.
There you go. I bet you people don't even know who their superintendent of schools is.
Most people don't.
Most powerful person in the whole area over all minors,
Because they don't vote in between. No problem. Hmm.
right? So we're
Hmm.
picking everybody brain. We want to make sure we know who you're talking to. If you're talking about the minors, you're talking about youth or children. This is why this is in place. So you're right. You have to do that. You have to take custody back from the state. That's why you have to do that petition for parenting plan, right? Because who's the parent? The state is playing the parent too. The state is playing the parent.
Hmm.
We're just picking everybody's brain. We're gonna make sure you all know there's work that you have to do to take this power back from these people. So the birth affidavit, I gave you all a deal right here of what it looks like, and I gave you some real-time documents that's coming from the United States Department of State. So they can prove to you that I didn't create the word birth affidavit. They did. And yes, you can create your own birth affidavit if you want to type it up. You don't have to use their form. That's what I did. I did both actually. I did the birth affidavit. I typed up my own, found a template online somewhere, and then I went ahead and seen that they had one too. So yeah, that's first things
Is there
first.
is there using their template? Is there any way they put you back in the system using that? This is okay to create your own.
Well, like I say, is if you know we're already in their system. If anything, this will help you get out. right?
Gotcha.
You say a lot of people may not have all this stuff. We got to have look what they say you got to have in order to update this. This is how you get your passport updated in a system. So we'll say that some of us are getting into the layer of the passport. Once you have the passport, this is going to take you out of their system as well if you have those state IDs. Hmm. So the state is the statutory. They have the jurisdiction. If you have, that's why some of our people get into the whole secure party and they say, well, look, I don't use their IDs, or we try to get out of the system by not giving them an ID. Well, they still got your name in the system with the driver's license number in the system showing until you get another identity. This is your additional identity, you all. Like they say, you got the common law and then you have the corporate law. Most of us have been under the corporate law our entire life since 18. Because remember, when you went to the DMV, you never ever had to give them the social security number, but we did because they asked us for it. I know we don't remember, but when we turned 18, we went to the DMV and grabbed the ID. So we take accountability. I know this hurts sometimes to realize we did this to ourselves, but yes, we have to now take ourselves out from under their things that they had in place. So any questions or thoughts on this birth affidavit? That was one of our first things first to prove through diagram that um, yeah, you have to put your social security number here, birth the date of birth, all these things. Look at this. And yeah, get it notarized. So short answer is I don't think that you're going to be put back in their system if you deal with this document because you're not going to the you're going actually to the post office, I believe, with this document right here. So yeah, these are different, or the passport place. Like say you go to the place they do the passports. I think that's where you go with this birth affidavit. The next exhibit I'll get into. Any questions on this birth affidavit? Anybody's ever done this before? Have you ever seen it? And this is where you get started at right here.
Yeah, Wallace, I had to do it for my daughter. I was homeschooling and I had her actually a home birth. And when she got to be about, I think she was about 16 or 17, and we decided and said, okay, let's go get, she wanted to go to school. Let's go down and get your social security card. Well, that was 3 years of battle to get it. They told me I don't have proof that she's alive.
Mm.
Even though she was sitting right there next to me, the guy just stared directly at me and refused to look at her. It was just unbelievable. So this birth affidavit is one thing that we filled out, and also grabbed the census records.
Wow, the census records.
We went and grabbed the census records all the way back to, I think, my grandmother. We went back. I remember during the days that I was first learning this is back in, wow, 04, 03, 04, 2003. And my husband would fill out the census. I think he did it twice. And I was angry about it, because you didn't know enough. You learning. I'm not trying to be a part of this and part of that, but that's what saved us. And this birth affidavit, along with the census records, is what got us the passport. And they still, after getting this, they still didn't give us the social security card. She actually got the social security card. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ramble, but she actually got the card because the head guy in charge was upset that the immigrants were getting social security cards. So he gave it to her. After battling 3.5 years, we fought.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're telling me then the way this works, if you are able to prove that you lived in America based on what you just told me.
Yes, it was that record, the census record, along with this birth affidavit, that got us to get the passport.
Hmm.
Yep.
So there you go. So this, you actually helping people get their remedy if they believe they're an immigrant or they have to get papers they can't prove. Some of us have done this where we stayed out of the system, had the home birth. You know, we were told, don't register your child, don't do this, don't do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And yeah, and it will make it difficult for you to live in their system, correct?
And they did. I mean, I didn't think about it because, I'm at home with them and, they didn't get sick a lot, and everything. And I really didn't think about it. It's just that when she turned 16, she wanted to go to school, and that's what happened. We just started looking into it. I had no idea that would take place at all.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So remember, when they become of age of 18, that's what we were talking about today, that we're still able to create the trust and you're able to create the power of attorney after this for the minor.
Yeah.
So you can still do this for her if she's under 25.
Well, no, she's 26 now.
Okay, okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
she's 20.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
well, we
yeah, but
caught it.
she studies with me, and
Perfect,
everything. So
perfect.
yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you gave us this testimonial because some people need to hear this. You know, they may have the same problem right now, not knowing that there's a way out. So absolutely, we thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that with us
Sure.
and
Mm-hmm.
giving us some insight on what we can do and that you actually used this document and it worked out for you.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully that helps someone. Yes.
Yes, thankful for that. Okay, so we have anyone else that have any thoughts or shares on this affidavit? That's one of our first diagrams we talked about, was what it looks like if you had to get an affidavit of birth. So this actually works for even ourselves. So let's say, Cynthia, question is this: you did it for the daughter, right? Next question is, were you able to go back and do one for yourself?
No, I didn't. Again, for me, I have been studying trust since 2008, I think it was, but I never thought, in my mind, that's not what I needed. I never thought about it. But like I said, this is refreshing me completely because it's like going back to what I was studying at that time. All this right here still didn't hit me that I needed to do it as well. It's kind of crazy, but no, I never did it for myself.
No problem. We thankful
Yeah.
for that. You sharing that with us as well. Even myself, I didn't do it either for a while, but I recently just did one. You know, within the last year or so, because I didn't know this was important for me to prove that I was able to create my own birth record, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, I for me, I would definitely create my own. We're taught about the whole four corners rule. Anything that's in the box actually doesn't exist on paper. I don't like to say things without having a resource behind it, but that's from the Schrunk's book. I'm sorry, the name is not coming to me, but How to Write Things. When you get this diminutive and the uppercase and lowercase, where everyone got that from, that Shrunk. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, I would definitely take this as a template and create my own. Let me say it that way. That's the way I
Mhm.
would do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no problem. This
Yeah.
is just entryway for some who are new. And like, let's say you did do it this way and then you just went back and created another one for your own record. That's fine too. Create two
Yes.
of them. That's what
Yeah.
I did. I went ahead and did this and I created a private one too, like you're saying, just
Now
for those who are listening.
for her court case, I use the Bible.
Mm,
We wrote in all of our children's births in our Bibles. So I used that in the court case, and the judge, she helped me to seal the case and everything. She was very impressed with what I brought. It wasn't complete, but she did help me out. Her and the clerk, they were very helpful.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. So you said you brought the Bible. So that's vague when you said you brought the Bible. I know people probably got questions. Well, what was in the Bible that you brought?
Because that's my question, right?
Oh, go ahead, brother Raymond. Okay.
No,
Yes.
at the older Bibles have at the beginning of it, those were the deeds. Let me say that you mentioned about the birth records being at the county. That's the county seat. That's where the deeds are. It's really the first bank, which is the post office, actually. Um, they're connected. I won't go into that direction. That's a whole nother story, but bringing in the Bible is actually, you're the one that creates these an act. That's what deed means. Deed means act. So you're creating or recording acts that took place in your life. And in the certain Bibles that have births, deaths, marriages, all type of events.
You're right, Cynthia, about that, because that's what our parents or grandparents used to do. Record
Exactly.
births, deaths, and marriages in the Bible.
Yes. And that's
Yep,
what
you're
the
right
deeds
about that.
are. Yes.
My
Yes.
parents did it.
Yes. And then your name was associated with the area that you lived in, which was the county and things of that nature. So yes, it's connected. So
Yes.
um but that's part of doing government for ourselves. That's
hmm
why we don't know it today, because we don't know how to connect those dots. But yes. So the
Hmm.
birth, bringing in that
Exactly.
Bible, she was impressed again with that. It wasn't something I had just created for that situation.
hmm
She was in the Bible when I had her at home. So that was me writing it down, was creating the record, keeping the record.
Right. So
Exactly.
that actually trumps your birth affidavit anyway by you
hmm
having that. So your Bible
Mhm.
record actually
Yes,
is a birth affidavit in a way.
Yep,
yes,
it sure
yes,
is.
You see?
yes.
So
Oh,
you're already there. They just wanted some document. They can't take your Bible, right? So they're like,
No.
hey, can you
exactly.
make us a document or something? Can you give us,
Right.
you know?
Right. And that's what they were looking for. Again, the census records help. Again, all these things take place for us to look into how we're supposed to be doing things and how we should have been doing it. It's practicing equity, doing what should have been done. That's what the
Exactly.
first maximum of equity. And equity is the law that trust is governed by. So yes, those who part of the equity maxims is you must do equity in order to get it. So
Interesting.
yeah, those are our actions should be reflective of that.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
going somewhere with this for those who are still new to the reason why we're here in the living realm. You have to prove that you're living. And I like the Bible record that you gave us as a great example for those who want to get right to the source of where you want to keep your record.
Yes,
Is
because
what they were
The
actually doing.
Bible record trumps their documents any day. But the Bible record, you have a Bible record of the births, deaths, and marriages anyway.
Hmm. You said it right. That's really what we should get to.
hmm
And I know some people look at it religious, and I understand. Like some of us may not, we don't really like the way Christians and people have done things in history and things of that sort, right? But that's not really how America was really always keeping record. They were keeping those
Exactly.
records in the front of those Bibles. That's what they were doing.
Exactly.
Hmm.
That trumps their documents any day.
And that's where I see this as important that we have these discussions because some of us are still new to the birth information, like so the birth
You
certificate.
still gotta find those Bibles that has that in the front of them. Some of them don't have it in there no more, but you gotta find the Bible that has that in those 3 pages in front because it's in front.
Yes,
Exactly.
I went to the Goodwill and found this.
Oh, okay, Cynthia. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah.
It
You gotta
wasn't
really.
written in at all.
I
So
know they took it out because they want people to know. That's why you
no,
got.
I mean the Bible that I found didn't it no one had written in it.
Oh, okay. But I'm saying
So
they took those pages out. Now,
yes,
if you get a Bible now, those ain't in the those pages ain't in that Bible. So
exactly.
you gotta really find it.
Yes,
You really
yes,
do.
yes.
They want people to know that. But that's what our grandparents and ancestors did, put births, deaths, and marriages in the Bible.
Those were the deeds. Yes, those were the
Yep.
deeds.
It
may I
Are
say
was.
something?
are you guys literally talking about the first couple of pages where it's like empty note lines?
Well, they in the front. Those.
Right, right, in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Because
okay.
it has birth record, marriage record, and death record.
I
yes.
remember.
Yeah.
Weddings,
See. See.
weddings. Yes, they had.
Weddings, all
Uh,
that.
yes,
That's what our
everything.
ancestors have recorded in the Bible. Our births, deaths, and marriages. Before all this,
Mm,
before all this, what government crap came. came to,
mm. Thank you. Please. This is great. I'm just listening because this is
yeah.
wonderful.
Hey, I thought those were just Bible note pages.
No.
Mm-mm. No,
If
it's
some of your great aunties and uncles and great grandmas, you better talk to them. They'll tell you. You better have a sit down with them. They'll tell you. They
you
still
know what?
alive.
I just thought of that, and that's a good thing that we do this now. So let's say you have this Bible and you
Mm-hmm.
want to update it. You want to go to the family members now
I'm
and
trying to
have
tell
them
you.
write those records in your Bible.
There you go, yo. That's right. That's right, Wallace. Yeah.
That's
There
where
you
we at.
go. That's where we at.
I know people are asking, well, what am I doing with the Bible? Well, here you go. It's not just to read the Bible. You know, I know
Exactly.
I'm not knocking and don't hear please
No.
hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't read the Bible. What I'm saying to you is at the same time, look at what they're doing. Look at what
Exactly.
they're doing. When you go to the hospital, if you went to the hospital with your Bible, think about this for a second, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Every state, every state, they recognize it. Every state recognizes the Bible record collections.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is deeper than just, you know, we're gonna say this is deeper.
It
It's where you
is.
get to your birth. Get
Exactly.
out of the birth, now you got your life back.
There you
This is where
go.
we get life back right here.
You're right, Wallace. You're absolutely right.
It represents the first claim on the name as
There
well.
you go. That's right, Cynthia. Yep.
The
That's right.
footprint,
And
and
there you
all that
go.
stuff. Yeah. Because I had it at home, I was able to take the placenta and bury it as well, and so there's
Oh, okay.
no claim on that one. That's a deep dive. There's a deep story to that one, so as well. But it's good to get the knowledge
Yes.
right now and to go into what those events today
Mm-hmm.
is thought of as nothing, but they were huge back then. Huge.
They still huge and they still huge.
Yes,
They
if you
still huge.
understand it.
Yeah, if you
Yes,
understand, they still huge. Cause that Bible, if you got that in that Bible, that supersedes their documents and
it
everything.
does.
I'm trying to
Yes,
tell y'all.
yes,
You may have to put in search if they you probably have to put in search so you can find a Bible that still has the marriage record, the birth
yes,
record in it. That's what you're gonna have to do, y'all, so you can
yes.
get some type of Bibles. I'm sure they
So
still have it.
would that mean that the Ethiopian Bible is the true and actual Bible then?
Well,
Yes.
that's not for this discussion.
Okay,
But
okay. I'll just because
Mm.
you're
you
not
see
Bible, I'm
what
just okay.
you see what it is. It's more of like a record book now. We're just grabbing the
Exactly.
Bible from
Yes,
Barnes and
Oh,
Noble, right?
okay.
yes,
You
Exactly.
see what I'm
yes,
saying?
Oh,
You grab
okay.
it from Barnes and Noble, and now it's your
Yep.
record book.
That's your record. Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly. So you might have to put in search to see if you can find a Bible with those pages in it, and they in the front. That's what you're gonna have to do and get you one.
You know, that's the part that I was trying to
Hmm.
really understand is when I always heard people say when you bring your Bible. I'm like, okay, what are they talking about?
Hmm.
Now I understand.
Yep.
So this is getting into that layer of the birth record. So this is why we went here. If for those who are coming back to where
Hmm.
we left off, and I went to the baby's soul foot because they do have record of the baby's footprint when they would go to the hospital. So that's why you're gonna take the power of attorney of the soul of the baby's foot back as well. I
Hmm.
know this is deep, so I'm diving deep today for you all. We're diving deep. The baby's soul footprint going to your footprint. Remember your baby soul footprint? Mama probably still got it somewhere, or the hospital got it. These are the two layers. This is why we take the power of attorney back from the hospital.
Yep, you're right.
It's all going back to the same thing that you create. You have to create the birth affidavit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't say, "Oh, they did it for me. They was able to
Mm.
do everything and send it to me, and everything went well." No, there's more work.
Yep.
Go ahead, brother Raymond.
No, I just wanted to make a comment because I'm listening and I'm like, I'm thinking about when my children were born. I was so proud to put their footprint on this paper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Amen,
my
man.
God.
Yep.
Amen.
See?
Mm-hmm.
See?
Yeah, that's what this
I
is.
was happy they came out healthy and alive and just gave them away for the free. Didn't even understand what's going on.
And there's another thing that some of us don't
Mm,
know about. They why you think when you have a child in the hospital, they want to cut their umbilical cord? No,
mm,
don't let
mm,
them do that. You got to let it fall off by itself, and that's where the child's nutrients come from, and that's why a lot of parents that don't do that, their child don't have no health problems because they're getting all the nutrients they need.
mm.
So don't let them cut off that umbilical cord. Let it come off in a couple of days, fall off itself. So just tell the hospital no, keep it on.
Brother Wallace, can you
Mm.
elaborate how we use the birth affidavit or why we should use it? Which, yeah, what does it mean?
Mm-hmm. That's what we were doing. We were elaborating on going back to the beginning of where it started. Is that you're creating this birth affidavit for the children, for the youth, each of the youth that you have, and then you're creating one for yourself. That's why I asked that last question, the birth affidavit. Did we do the one that we need for ourselves? You see, that gets you back to your life plan. So that's explaining where we left off right here.
Hmm.
Fully create all layers of your life plan. They got it all that they got everything. They got the CDC, the Center for Disease Control.
Mm.
The hospitals got records. We got a
Hmm.
lot of work to do. You got to take power back from them.
You're right.
So just fill out the birth affidavit and keep it in your private binder or send it off.
No, no, that's gonna just only update your identity in their system with the passport card. So you'll be able to get a passport card with that birth affidavit,
Hmm. For the boy or
according to
girl
that
or
document.
yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, you can do
Okay.
that for each of the youth too. Some of us
Okay.
may have to. You got to raise the funds to get the money, so we can pay for the passport cards for each of the youth. That's
Yeah.
right. All the beneficiaries. Everyone got to get a pack. We got to take them out from the state. That's what this is about.
Exactly.
You know, if they want to see how it looks, this is what it looks like.
Okay.
I'm just saying that to in general, not speaking just to you, brother Bobby. I'm speaking in general to all people and
Yeah.
everyone to understand this.
What site did you go to for that document?
Oh, the birth affidavit. So the birth affidavit is the DS. Let me see if I can find it. You can probably type it in the search.
Yeah, it's on that form you pulled up, birth affidavit. It's on the number, the thing, the DS something is on that form.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it back up.
Yeah, in the corner. I think it's the right or left corner. I think.
We'll go for this.
So when you apply for the card, like you said, do both parents have to sign off on the birth affidavit?
No, no,
Mm-mm.
no, no. The birth affidavit is just anyone that is a parent can do that. Because they're gonna ask who's the father and all those details. They're gonna ask for the social of the parent. They'll actually ask you for the social of the parent right there on the form. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Back up. You see, they ask you for your name, then they ask you for the regular address, all that. Then they say write everything you remember about the passport application's birth. Include the details, time, and location, the passport application's birth, the individuals present, and any other personal knowledge about the event, how you define, obtain knowledge of the event, list the names of the passport application's birth parents, and your defines relationship to the applicant or their birth parents. Attach a separate piece of paper if more space is needed. So that's why I attached my birth affidavit also in some more details. That's why I put mine behind this one
See,
too.
that's the DS-10 form.
Yeah, that's it. DS.
10.
Where you see that at? I don't see
Plus you
DS.
got it. Plus you got it in your the, the, the PDF. You got it
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
I say
10 at the
DS10.
top.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. DS10.pdf. That's it.
Yep.
Right here on the bottom.
Let me see.
Right here on the bottom. DS10.
Mm-hmm.
I got this back in 2024, just showing you how early and
Oh,
how
okay.
recent this is about. So this is just one layer. You all are getting the life back for each of the youth, and then the beneficiaries, and then you're getting your life as
Getting
well.
our life back. Yeah.
We're looking at it that way, just for those who want to see it from that perspective. The common law side.
Mm-hmm.
The state side is the state ID, which we all know we have those already. So I give you all some of the layers of what it looks like to have the ID. So I think I was able to put it in part of my digital documents right here somewhere. So let me go to my passport card right here, just to kind of show you all results of what it looks like and when it happens. This is exactly what it looks like in real time of what you get. And they will give you this access point. It won't have an address on here either. It's very interesting. They don't put an address on the passport cards.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, if there's a situation with court, they try to block you from getting this. So that's why we're going to clear out our court cases so that we don't get blocked from getting this card.
Okay.
So I gave you all some results and exhibits. I want to also show you what it looks like for the youth. And when you get something called a affidavit of that I created myself. Let me see if I can download my own. Here goes mine. So it's giving you all some layers of how thorough I went for myself and getting myself out of their system too, and where I was born and when I was born, and so on. So you have to do this layer of where that location was. I found this affidavit online with the lawyer website like lawdepot.com or legal lawyer or something like that. You can use any of those websites. They may have something called a birth affidavit on there. So I did that. And when I filled this out, I was able to fill out everything, put the date there. Then you have the notary. The notary signs everything right here. So this is just an example of what it looks like if you had to create an affidavit of birth. It's just that simple. If that's what you're looking at and you were trying to see how it looks. I would also attach this to my family Bible if I wanted to go to that layer and just make sure I write the same thing that's on this in the family Bible. Okay, so we stayed on birth affidavit for a bit. I didn't want to take us too into a much of a rabbit hole on that, but in a way, that's not a rabbit hole no more because this is
No.
information or knowledge that's going to take you out of their situation rather than keeping you bogged down with doing so many other things. Your goal is to come out of their birth certificate rather than staying in it. Is what you're doing with this document. So, any last thoughts, questions, or shares on birth affidavit? Then we'll move to the children's power of attorney or minor power of attorneys. This will be dealing with custody, dealing with courthouses, dealing with child protective services, all these different things that can deal with the minors. So I wanted to get into that to help people realize these layers and powers of the documents.
So when you do the birth affidavit, does that correct your status as they talk about correcting your status? Was that part of it?
No, there's no more status or anything at this point. This is you taking your life back. At this point, we're going to use the word you're taking your life back from them. And
Okay.
the day was the hospital. That's why we're going straight to the main place it started. It started at the hospital. You know, the status comes later when you are already in their system. We have to get our status update, but now we're taking our life back. So you're actually really out of the entire corporation at this point. So that's our birth affidavit information. Our next one we can talk about is the power of attorney for the youth. Does anybody have any questions about power of attorney for youth and things of that sort? And then we'll do our last one on power of attorney for we'll say the hospital or even clinics. Go ahead.
I would have questions about the power of attorney for the youth.
Go ahead and shoot at it. Any and all situations. It could be child protective services. It can be DCF. It can be school situations. The school isn't doing their job. It can be all types of
Yes.
things.
So I would like to know, when we write our power of attorney for the youth, would we mention our trusts, or which also would we mention our trust? Which addresses would we put on the document, the POA for our daughters or sons? Like, would we put on there the trust address or only our individual addresses? And yeah, that's what I would like to know.
Right. So when you're doing it, it's going to be exactly the location the youth that they are at. So the address they're at is as if you're doing the power of attorney for the name of the youth or the beneficiary, and you would put the exact location, the address that they're at. That's how that usually works when you deal with, they say wellness checks. They want to make sure that the youth is cared for and okay and well. So it's like a competition. The state is actually competing with you and all of us who are dealing with youth, or even yourself, to really feel as if they can take care of you better than you can take care of yourself.
I see. And do you have experience about the document itself? Did you had at any point a disagreement with protective services or some form of state interference in regards to your youth?
Right, exactly. There's been several
Okay.
situations.
And did they recognize your POA, your own made POA? Did they recognize it, or did they just yeah, like
It,
your
se- it
private
seems
document has no meaning?
it seems each of the cases have closed with nothing found on what they were trying to do. So I would say in a way, yeah, by having that gives me leverage and it gives me more power. Now, without having it, I can see them having more leverage and more power over the situation.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense?
Because you have something to show. You are prepared. I see. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's showing them, hey, even the school, right? This goes all the way down to the power attorney for the minor for the school. So for those who are dealing with youth, maybe you got a cousin, maybe you got somebody that's in school, and the school, you know, ain't nothing going the way it's supposed to go. That's where the power of attorney comes in. That's another example for using it. Superintendent of schools, right? Anybody remember that? Who's your superintendent for the schools? That's everyone's homework for today.
So something that I was already planning on doing was this summer I was gonna go down to the school board and sit down and talk with them and make sure they understand what's going on and give them my documents so that we all on the same page moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I'll give y'all an example. I put my situation out there from years ago, and I was able to do this back in 2019. That's why I know this works. All right, so you have the power of attorney for a child. It was myself and my wife, and we appointed myself, and she was appointed to. We're both appointed to our own children, and you have to be the lawful. You have to literally say those words. You have to literally say, to be our lawful attorney in fact, the agent or attorney in fact, regarding our minor children. Remember word minor. That's why I wanted to scroll into the word minor because that's the words that they use in their system. They use the word minor. And then you have to do the name on the birth certificate, the same names on the birth certificates. And you're going to hereby grant to the attorney in fact all of our powers regarding the care and custody. So all care and custody is given over to you as the main one in charge. So you're supposed to be in charge like the sheriff. You're in charge like the hospital. We're in charge of the care. That's what that makes sense, right? Of the above named children, except our power consent to marriage or adoption. So we can't adopt them off or marry them. Minor children, or a power to sell, transfer, convey, or otherwise manage any real or personal property belonging to the minor children. So a whole nother trust has to be created. That's why I wanted to go over that later. In another call, we'll talk about how you do have to create a revocable living trust also for each of the minor children names. But I'm not getting into that today. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information, but eventually you will have to do that at some point in the future. But for now, we need the power of attorney for the youth, each and every youth. And whenever you deal with these people, we have the document. We're not just talking to them. We're not just saying they better do their job and I dare them try to not do what I said to do. Okay? We're gonna get to the power of attorney. What am I doing now? Well, I'm going to enroll them in school in an extracurricular activity. So that means I choose any and all schools that they go to. And then if the school that I choose, we have to make sure the school has all the services, all the equipment, everything that they need. And if it doesn't, then we have to choose another school. Next, I'm going to have access to the school records and participate in decisions regarding the children's education. Very important. Because if the teacher's making a decision for the child, then you have to create an individual education plan. That's what they call those. Because they give every child a general education plan. They place your child on the same level as all children in the whole United States for the
IEP
state.
plan.
Well, no, they give everyone the GEP if you don't do the IEP.
Okay, okay.
You see?
We need
That's
to we
good
need
if
to
you
create
have one.
our own IEP. Right. That's what I meant to say.
Exactly. Yep. So if you have that, that's great. If you don't, then they have placed your child on the same level as all the other children in America to perform according to the state test exams and so on, as you all understand. Because it's the state, the child is under the state, including attending parent teacher conferences. So you're in charge of make sure you talk to the teacher, you're having conferences, you're staying in charge of everything the child has going on. Even if it's your little cousin, you can check in and check in who's in charge. All right. Next is obtain medical, dental, and mental health treatment. That means we got to create that. We got to obtain it and get it and make healthcare decisions. Healthcare. And it's going back to that hospital, going back to care of the clinics and the professionals, the doctors, everywhere. We're going back to these people, but we're going to make them do their job. By not having this, they're able to just make these decisions. You all see?
Yeah.
They're able to just say, well, I think this is better. So all the healthcare decisions on behalf of the children. Next is provide for the child's food, lodging, housing, recreation, and travel. So you have to provide for that you may receive benefits for the child. This is where you get into receiving the benefits from their beneficiary account. And these are going to be used for the food, the lodging, housing, recreation, and travel. And last but not least, any and all decisions regarding the children in custody of mom or dad. Look at that, mom or dad. Go ahead, Brother Ray.
So, does this include the funds the state are receiving for the children annually?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's your job. You got to audit the school to see how much each child is getting at. I did that for my children. I didn't even know. Man, yes, you got to know how much each child is getting at the school.
and then audit them for them to transfer those funds, or that's kind of
No, you're not trying to get on a transfer. You're just knowing how much they are getting to provide for the education of your child. Into their system, they call them children.
right?
So we're supposed to make sure they do their job for based on the money they're getting and the services and so on. So yes, that's they call that the allocating of the education plan of the budget, something like that. So I'm going through this layer to show you how it's looked for me and how it worked for me. Now, let's say you may not be on the same accord with the mom or the dad or so on, right? So that you would create this document by yourself. You wouldn't worry about mom or dad. So we're not going to get into that as well. Is if you have mom and dad together, that's good. Where everyone can get to the mom or the dad and get everybody to sign this agreement. So both of y'all have power and authority over the child, then that's great. So at the end of the day, it's more powerful if you come together and do it than if
Mm-hmm.
you don't do it and it becomes half powerful. Because we need both mom and dad to have the power. So this is the last thing I'll read for this part right here. It says the rights, power, and authority herein granted shall take effect when? Immediately. This power of attorney shall be effective until revoked by us. This power of attorney may be revoked by us at any time by providing written notice to our attorney in fact. The authority herein granted to our attorney in fact is exercisable by him or her, notwithstanding our later disability or incapacity or later uncertainty. Look at that. Even if I become uncertain of what I did before, it still doesn't change this power as whether we are dead or alive, right? So that's the power. We hereby release a liability in individual business health provider providing medical care and reliance on this document from liability to relating to acceptance of this form of attorney in fact consent. And then you get the signatures. Put it here. I'm showing you back in 2019. This will be going to the witnesses that you would go and get the witnesses if you have to in certain states. In my state, they wanted the two witnesses. So if you're in Florida, they may want you to do the two witnesses. Either you do it by yourself or you do it with the mother, or if you're the mother, you do it with the father, and you got to get the two witnesses. Next, you're going to see the notary page. You're going to put the notary on here, and that will seal out your document. And I also revoke, and I like to add this as extra things on top. This was not required, but this is something I did. So I'm not saying that you must do this, but it's a good thing to think of. So what I did to make sure when I dealt with the court, I dealt with these other officials, I gave them revocation of power of attorney just in case. So that if they thought they had power, I hereby revoke those powers that they may have had previously, to show that I've been able to revoke the power of attorney from those who previously had power of attorney over the minors. So I put this right here. It says hereby revoke any and all powers of attorney previously signed by me that I didn't know about, with regard to the identity, the party or parties designating such documents on act of my behalf. So it's very important that you sometimes may forget about things and you still give notice of something that's already been put in place. And that will be done by yourself. And you would give that over. I gave it over to the Department of the Children and Family people because I wanted to make sure they had, because it shows the state gives them jurisdiction. So I gave the CPS or the Child Protective Service people the document first. And that will also help you with layers in the future. If something happens, you already given them notice of the revocation of their power. So you do that for yourself, and then the mother or the father would do one as well. Both of you would have revocation of power from the state. So I thoroughly went through this to kind of show you the details of the results of what I already did, not what I was getting ready to do or that I'm doing. And I was given some of these things to show some of the processes of how to look when you're dealing with the power of attorney for the minor. And that was the second exhibit that we wanted to get through and given it some results of what that looks like when you're revoking the power, we'll say back from the state over the minors. Now, I'll say for myself that I do still have a few more steps to do because you do eventually have to get the passport cards for each of the youth. At that point, that will give the identity in a way to you based upon, I went over earlier, the birth record. Now, some may disagree. They may feel like, well, you're registering them, you're putting them back under the state, you're putting them back under the system. Well, I will have to basically um, not necessarily feel that way, because if I have a common law understanding, then I would be able to use that passport card for the common law. And if I were to go and to deal with the state doing business or doing things, then I would use the ID or the state ID just to do business. Outside of that, that would be my understanding at that point, once I had or have those two documents or cards, we're going to say. So I have the passport card, passport ID, and then I also have my state ID if that stays active, or I have a driver's license if that stays active. So it's not changing anything. I'm just giving someone, just not to make it seem like it's a um something that we're doing that's too elaborate in some form. So any comments or questions as I close out from the birth affidavit, and then I'll try to get into the last parts of our notes for the day, and I'll talk about the CDC.
If I may just say, God bless the work that y'all are doing, man.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and we're thankful for everyone. So the last one we'll talk about is the medical power directive. That one is very sensitive. I'll say the medical power directive is very sensitive. Anyone wants to speak on the children's power of attorney before I move on to the medical power directive, and then I'll close us out from this section for today. Okay, so this section right here to close us from the powers of attorney, then we'll get into the one that you use to deal with the state and everything. So the medical power of attorney, that one is going to be something that you create um, for you whenever you're dealing with your medical plan. So when you go and get certain things done, this is certain things that you will want done for your body and for your mind and for your spirit. So you have a medical power of attorney. So some of us may have never heard of this, but I'll leave this for open space this week for you all to do more research on creating this medical power of attorney. This is something that you can create as many times as you want. It's not standard practice for you to always keep the same one forever because it may change. But I'm just going to give you all an introduction to this for today, and then I'll close this out. So like I say, I'm still in the process of getting this for myself with the medical power of attorney, always updating it for myself and for the youth. But this is an example of what you see with the co-pilot brought for us. A medical power of attorney, MPOA, is a legal document that allows you to appoint someone to make healthcare decisions on your behalf. That's right. So this is a big time decision-making process for your health. We're going to say your health and your wealth is very important. They're both together. And these are going to be important decisions that's made on you when you become unable to do so. So imagine having a whole bunch of money in the account. You may need someone to make some good healthcare decisions over yourself, as well as the financial decisions as well. And these are people that you will begin to trust. And this is why we like to say you're building a trust with other people. Now, that is something that some of us may need to work on, but we like to say at least one other person or at least two. Next is, what is a medical power of attorney? A medical power of attorney is a legal document that designates an individual known as the agent or healthcare proxy to make medical decisions for you when you are incapacitated or unable to communicate your wishes. Okay, so this is why I tell you that the hospital is doing this, right? So I told you all, improving it right here beyond whatever evidence we need, is that you need to make sure that you have a medical power of attorney. Because when you don't, they already said that when you are incapacitated or unable to communicate your wishes, they are going to do it for you. This document is crucial for ensuring that your healthcare preferences are respected. Look at that. So if you are a person that deals with, maybe you like kosher because of your healthcare reason of your religion, or you like halal because of your healthcare religion usage, or you may like certain things or for the air. You know, you like your air to be a certain way. Well, these are your wishes. These are your things that you may need respected in your room. So these are respected during critical times when you cannot express them yourself. You may be a person that may say, look, I don't care. I want you to make sure that I get up and try to walk, even though I may have hurt my leg. I don't want to sit there and lay there. You got to put that down. They're not going to know how to do that for you. I know that this may be new to us, but we got to be careful with thinking that you're going to give power back over to these people, to the hospital. So this is deeper than just grabbing, we'll say the document. This document is crucial for healthcare preferences, purpose and importance, decision making. Somebody that make good decisions on your life, and you being somewhere, making sure you get the right care so you can come out in life again. Legal authority. Medical power of attorney grants agent authority to access your medical records and communicate with healthcare providers on your behalf. Advanced directive is often recommended to pair a medical power of attorney with a living will, which outlines your wishes regarding specific medical treatments and interventions. You see that? So that's you getting into the estate plan now. It's funny that estate plan goes backward. They want you to be already in the decedent mindset, but not talking about the living mind. You see, the decedent. That's why we already know you're not a decedent. You don't got to prove that. Why are you proving that you're not a decedent? If you had a living will, if you already had a medical power of attorney, you already know you're not a decedent, which outlines your wishes regarding specific medical treatments and interventions. Wow. So this is some serious stuff, y'all. I'm learning myself as I'm looking into this. This is something that we want to make sure we have an advanced directive. They say treat people the way you want to be treated. You see, this is going into biblical principles. Treat the way you want them to treat you, right? What that means is you got to tell them the way you want to be treated. You literally got to write it down. That's what they're saying. So it says select an agent, draft the document, sign and witness, distribute copies. See, they always say
So
distribute them copies. Go ahead, Bobby.
who could be the agent? Can the trust be included, or should it be an individual like a co-trustee?
Got to be a co-trust, or not a co. Co is that corporate again. So it's got to be a trustee, someone who you trust. It says choose
Co
a what? Trusted individual.
Yeah, the co-trustee inside the trust instrument would be the assigned second trustee.
No, a co-trustee will be a corporate trustee or another company,
Yeah,
another
so
company that you choose.
me and my wife are trustee in my trust, and she's just a second trustee, so I assume she's the co-trustee,
That's
or she's
correct.
the no, I don't know the name.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Successor
right.
trustee?
No, she's just a trustee. She's the second trustee. That's what you
Yeah,
would
so
say.
trustee, not
So you got
co-trustee. I
first
understand.
trustee, second
Okay, I
trustee,
understand.
third trustee. Think of it like
Yes, I
that, not
understand.
co. When you say
Yes, yes.
co-trustee, I know
Corporate.
people may have not heard that before, but that's true. You give corporate trustee power over to a company.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you write it out, you would not need to mention the trust. You would just write it down, and the appointed power of attorney agent is whoever you choose, whoever
It's
you
you.
trust.
First is you, and
Yes,
it'll
yes, yes,
be
yes.
your
If I'm
second
in cap,
trustee.
yes, I got you. I
You
understand.
see?
Okay.
Select an
Yeah,
agent. Make sure you read it correct. Select an agent. You want to be
yeah.
your own agent because they already got agent power, even if you there and you know what to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and what is in the scenario when you are in past, I don't know how to say the word.
I'm
When you
okay.
don't
Let's
can speak for yourself?
no. When you talking to them regular,
Yes, so let's say
you
you
can
got
be
into
you
the
can be there
hospital
at
and
the place and say, look, I don't think I have this problem. You don't have to check this, and they're gonna check it anyway because they got power of attorney. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I just mean in regards when you can't speak anymore. Let's
Oh
say you
yeah,
just got
that's
into
it.
the hospital and they receive your POA
Yeah.
from your wife as example, and you are listed as the agent and it's all listed, but they can't speak with you. So could they assume that it is void because
No,
you
no.
can't
This
speak?
is where you will have an advanced directive. That's why we have this part here to kind of help you with
Yeah,
that
the
part,
will.
just in
Yes,
case you
yes,
couldn't
yes.
talk.
Perfect.
Maybe
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe you got to get back. You wake up the next day. Well,
Yes,
you had an
the
advanced
will.
directive
Yeah.
that gave a recommended care that you wanted for yourself, just in case you couldn't say nothing.
Yes, correct.
You
Thank
see?
you.
But that's
Yep.
important for us to see it this way because some of us may say, well, look, it's on the spot. I can't talk. Well, we know you can't talk. That's why they have power of attorney because we already know you didn't have the power, the advanced directive, or any of us in this situation. They don't know that you have a condition and what medication you take. That's an advanced directive. Hey, this person has this situation. If this is going on, these are the medications they take. This is what they don't take. Do not give them this. You see? If you had an advanced directive that said this, it's easy. But if you got
Yeah.
to tell these people this every time, they don't know. I'm making it easy for y'all. This is simple. That's why you have to do it in a way that you look at it like I am in charge of myself first. And then
Mm-hmm.
if I can't talk for myself, then my second trustee is in charge. So that's the way this will look when you select an agent. You draft a document, and then last you're going to sign and witness it with according to the state law. So your state may have certain things. You got to do it exactly the way they want it because they'll try to poke holes into your
Mm-hmm.
medical power of attorney and say, hey, this wasn't done the correct way. And so you want to make sure you do it the way your state laws say. So you can take that power back from the state as well, from that situation. Distribute copies. So give it to the hospital, give it to the clinic, have it on your phone, do whatever it takes, emailing. These are the ways you distribute the copies. Fax it to them, mail it over to them, whatever it takes. That's why we're saying this. Make sure you give them some copies. Give it to your family member. Give it to somebody you know and say, hey, just in case, we'll bring this power of attorney to this place in case. All right? That's what number 4 would say. So it does take effect when a physician determines you're unable, blah, blah, blah. So we understand this part with the incapacity part, which you'll answer that. But I'm out of this part for the medical power of attorney. I didn't want to take up too much of your time and everyone's time on the medical because it is an ongoing thing that we'll be able to create. But for the first time, I think that we should make sure that we draft up something very easy, simple, and easy to understand. So, any thoughts or questions last for the medical power of attorney?
No, you presented that beautifully. I don't have no questions.
Okay, thank you all for getting through that part of the powers of attorney. I know it can be seemingly a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of things to do, but we're going to break it down to the easiest way to see why you have the power to do a lot of these things without, we'll say, the corporation. So going back to our notes, it's very important for us to see the sole proprietor as the power. Once you have the sole proprietor as yourself in the social, this gives you this power to feel like you're doing this the correct way. Now it's not a document. Once you get this point, you'll know that your social is already available. It's just your mind has to renew. You have to shift your mind from thinking that your social security card was just for a personal. The social security card was also for a business. So you have to make sure you use the social card now for a business. That's the best way, the easiest way to activate your sole proprietor. Another way we do this is you also file the Schedule C with a 1040 tax return. So you have to file a Schedule C to prove that your sole proprietor and your social is updated in their system. So that's why we talk about these in details and layers so that you can see all of the steps, all of the points that you have to go. so you can keep all of these fraudster people out of your account. That's what I'm going to talk about today. That's what the highlighted course is about. The power of attorney course is always about, we'll say, um, loss prevention. So you got to make sure you don't have any loss, you don't have anyone taking your treasures, being a scammer, able to scam you. Make it simple, right? How do you keep the thieves and robbers and scammers and fraudsters from breaking through my social account to take my money and treasures? That's one of our questions we asked when we talked about this human nature that people have. It's human nature. I don't care if it's your cousin. Your cousin may try to look up in your account because you got some cash. They may got your social. So this is important for us to start thinking about power of attorney and how you can make sure that your power of attorney is in place so that they can't just do these things with your information. So some examples can work in many ways with the personal side. They have so much information now to put credit cards in your name, open up bank accounts, open up credit reports, do anything that they want. They can pull your credit report. It's cash app scams, using your information, grabbing a cash app in your name.
You could get a PIN number to block your social. Nobody can use it with the IRS.
Thank you, Carlin, for that. So it'll get to that, when no one can use it. The PTIN, you're right. Right, yeah, filing tax returns in your name, getting the checks back in your name with the IRS. Another way to get money, the scammers, the robbers, the thieves, right? So these are things that we got to think about. It's not going to be always easy once everything works out. Now you got to keep it. You see $1 million sitting in your bank account. Now everyone is trying to grab it. How are you gonna keep that $1 million sitting inside your bank account? You think the bank person don't know? They can see it. The bank people may be in on it. They may try to grab your cash. You don't know. I'm not knocking anybody's bank, even my bank. So these are things that you want to do. You want to have a lot of things in place so that how do you keep the thieves and robbers and scammers and fraudsters from breaking through your social? And some of the ways that we talk about is what is needed to activate is your power and authorization and authority to access your personal Social Security trust account. Now, what we tell people is you open up a trust account in your social. It's the easiest way to say this. What is a trust account in your social? That is your Social Security number being used at the bank to open up a sole proprietor bank account. That's the easiest way to say this to you. Once you have this sole proprietor bank account in your social, this is going to take the power and ability of these thieves and robbers and scammers and fraudsters from breaking through your social and taking your money and treasures easily. Any questions or thoughts so far on this? Some of us have this social account this way. And if you have this social account, can you give any testimonial of what has changed for you since you had this Social Security sole proprietor bank account? And I'll pause here.
Brother Wallace, uh, can you hear me?
Greetings, I hear you well.
Okay, my phone has been acting up. Listen, I had sent you something, sent something uh, to Jillian so I can set up a meeting with you for this month. I sent $10. I was trying to. I wanted you to look over my filing that I already did for 2025. I just wanted you to look over it. Uh,
Oh yeah,
and
sure thing. We'll be able to look into it. So the question is, do you have a sole proprietor account? Is that what you're
yeah, I
saying that
already
you
had
have?
that.
The bank
Yeah,
account? You have the sole proprietor bank account already?
yeah, because when I started doing my taxes for 2025 before I got the W-2s, which was 2 days later, they said, "Welcome back. We have your sole proprietor from 2024." And I said, "Oh, okay." But they still asked for the W-2s. Just it just so happened it came through right, and so I had to still wait for my W-2s to do it. I mean, I still did it with my W-2s, so I had to go back in there. But they're trying to get me to put down the amount that was lost from Schedule C because I didn't do that last year, and they asked me that on the phone. They said you didn't put nothing down for the loss, and actually it was the title of the job, the with the combination of the different type of work I did for the post office. But they was
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get me.
exactly.
So they try to trick. I think it's kind of like to jam you up.
Well, yeah,
You know, try to
you
get.
can't give them power again over the phone because
Right.
if you fall into what they're saying that you should do on your Schedule C, then that means you
Yeah,
know
because
you're
they
gonna get power.
they showed the refund, and then I was stuck there. I said, let me see what they're saying, because the only thing, because I put down what I had made for 2025, I put that down. It would have had me on them a huge amount if I had put that on that Schedule C. And I said, no, I didn't have to do this last year because I looked at the old one from last year. And then I didn't have because they were asking me about it. Well, you didn't put down what you said you made this amount, and they're already reading, they're already looking at the W-2s. So I just said, uh, I don't have the amount. Something I forgot what I told them, but
Yeah, no problem.
this time I didn't talk to them. They were asking that in uh, a letter or something, or so I didn't put nothing down. So somehow a 1040 SR. I don't know how that popped up on the screen because I know, sometimes when you go fast, you hit more than one button. But a 1040 SR is a senior, something for seniors.
Yeah, so that's automatically gonna pop up if you're a certain age. They're gonna
Yeah,
automatically do
it
that for
did.
you. So you'll be able to still do the sole proprietor Schedule C to activate that. But just to
Mhm.
kind of go forward, I mean, my question was to make sure not to go into your Schedule C information, but to see if you have a bank account to keep the fraudsters and the robbers and the scammers. Because you're saying Cash App. So the question is, have you
No,
moved
I didn't say
everything?
cash out. No, I didn't say cash out. I
Okay,
said
okay.
I have a Schedule C.
Well, what I'm
Uh,
saying is, are you still using Cash App primarily to send cash, or are you using a sole proprietor account? Because that's what we're
uh,
asking now.
50%. Yeah, I still have cash out.
Okay, so this isn't going to keep the fraudsters, the thieves, and the robbers and the scammers away
Okay,
because they're
so I
going to be
need
able to break
to
through your
do
social
is,
account
right. I need to have a business account set up with the savings.
with the
With
social. Yes,
the
you
social.
need to save your soul, which is the
Yeah.
SOLE.
Now, when I printed it, Brother Wallace, I did print it the other day. Now, the Schedule C is still on it. It ain't, you know, it's got all that. It's still showing the Schedule C. Because once you do the Schedule C, eventually, of course, you're going to have to a business account uh, with the savings of a business account with the savings with your
Which is social.
Schedule C. Yeah, with your
Which
social. Do a
yes, and then
DBA.
after you, and I'm glad you mentioned this Schedule C. Now, what you'll do once you have that account open is what people say. Well, how am I going to get this line of credit? Well, I just giving you all and walking you all down to why it's the same thing. So you use the Schedule C and you'll give that over to the bank, right? So then when the bank sees your Schedule C, you will have this power and authority now because you're now a sole proprietor,
But I
right?
just wanted for business. I've seen those cards, the business credit cards
Right.
from
So
your
you'll be able to get approved for those through your Schedule C. But if
yeah.
you just were an individual, they're gonna always offer you the personal credit cards. This is why I know this for sure. This
Oh
is why
yeah,
I
I
say
know.
this is my next one. I question this question right here. It says, what is needed to activate my power and authorization slash authority to access my personal social security trust account?
Right.
So I already gave y'all the answer. That's the opening up that account in your social as a business.
As a business. But
I
you
got a
gotta do the
question.
DB. You gotta do the DBA though.
No, you
Oh,
don't.
so-
No, you
oh,
don't.
you don't?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. If somebody had a question, I heard someone. I couldn't see no hands or anything on your screen right now. Go ahead. I heard
It's
someone say.
base.
Go ahead. Go
My
ahead, brother. I hear you.
my
Okay.
question. Well, I got the sole proprietor savings and checking account. I activated the I know I'm gonna get it wrong, but the credit card. I put the money down for the credit card. And my question to you is, how do you approach the bank with the tax return? I already had the account open for a year since last year. So how would I approach them with my Schedule C? If you could give me that in real time, if that's possible.
Yes, sir. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Now, the way that would work is you would basically look for a line of credit or a business loan, right? And then they're going to ask you for your last 2 years of your tax return, right?
Oh yeah, yep. Okay. So the approach is basically I'm coming in for a loan.
Correct. The business loan, yep. That we remember we was showing those loans. You're going to get like a, and you can even start off with the secured loan and then get into the unsecured loan after that. But that's the way you would approach it, where you would use those last 2 years of the Schedule C as
Yeah, because
those last 2 years of those tax returns that they're gonna ask
I
for.
think even on the personal side, like if you were shopping for a home mortgage, they're gonna want those last 2 years of the tax
Hmm.
return.
There you
So that
go.
makes perfect sense.
That's right. That's the same thing on the individual side. We're moving it over to the business side of ourselves. And it's the social, like you're saying right now. You have the account. You're proving to us that that is working and that is available and is active, right?
Yeah, and on the transcripts, when you do the Schedule C with your 1040, it shows up that that account is a trust account.
Wow. I didn't
The
even
sole
know it shows
proprietor.
that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Remember I told you I accidentally the first time
Mm,
before we met had a sole prop EIN. But when I filed that 1040 and Schedule C on in 2024, I checked the transcripts and they got two of them up there. But the difference between one is listed as a trust.
wow. So that proves the EIN is not a trust. Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which,
So the
sorry,
only way
Bruno,
to do it is with the Schedule C.
Now go ahead. Somebody else was saying something I couldn't see.
I would just wanted to know, Blue Nova, which transcript had the trust listed? The one with the EIN or the sole prop?
They're gonna have the EIN up there and your social. They're both on the transcript.
Yeah,
But
you
they got
mentioned.
they got a little code up there. They got codes as you go down the transcript. When you read
Mm.
it, they got codes. And the code it says is a trust account.
Hey,
ah,
wow. Look at that. I see your point.
but that's only because when you did the second for the second time, because the first time you did the sole proprietor with an EIN, but the second time you didn't. So they're gonna
Exactly.
list
Correct.
both of them.
The
They're
first
gonna
the
list
first
both of
time
them.
I just had a regular business and
Right.
tried to operate that way, but it doesn't do anything for you. It's basically a corporate account. But like he
Right.
said, when you do that Schedule C and attach it to a 1040, It's like you telling them you woke up, you activated, you ready to get it started.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's right.
Hey, hey, brother Wallace. Even though when I started doing the 2025, it wouldn't let me put anything in on one of those lines like line 2 or line 4 about the amount from your wages and earnings and tips anyway. It just the software just moved around, and I was able to do everything else when I got the W-2 2 days later. But um the lady that I talked to, representative, said that I could just fax in the Form 56 and the 2848 and a certified copy of the revocable trust to
Mm-hmm.
the fax number they got on ID.me forward
Right,
slash
right. You can, yeah, you can do all
IRS.
that. But they
Yeah,
do it in
for,
real time now. I'm glad you mentioned that. They have a real time layer the IRS does use now. So we're past all this stuff with like transcripts and all that. You can get all the information like you're saying in real time when you're on the phone with the IRS agent, and then you're able to upload those documents right then and there. And they will bring that information into your account system that same
yeah,
day. So I'm
yeah,
glad you said that.
yeah. She says she'll help you, but all of them don't do that. If you get the right person on the line, because she said she wanted to do a referral on the 2021, a referral to get that release. Because she put me on hold 3 times. I said, a referral? Because nobody never mentioned a referral. She said, yeah, to get your account released because you already verified it like 5 times, once in person and 4 times on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she had me to verify it again. They didn't say nothing. The same software. I said, I use the same software. She said, okay. But they keep saying they ain't found nothing. They ain't found nothing wrong. It's just that, whatever's going on there. They said don't do nothing. We already see you filed the 2021, but I got a feeling I'm gonna probably get 2025 before I get the 2021.
No problem. Just wait it out. And I'm glad you're giving good testimonial for people who are hearing this and knowing what's happening when you're doing this.
Because I
You
did the
know,
e-file because they already had the green arrows, and the software said congratulations, everything looks all right. This is the most biggest refund you're gonna get, and congratulations, you did everything right. And they
right.
showed a bunch of green arrows, and it's one of them is the e-file. Because, like I said, when I first did my sole proprietor, that was in 2024, because I didn't know about it before 2024. And they said,
That's true.
welcome back. We still have your sole proprietor. Once you have that done for 2024, you're going to always be the sole proprietor once you did it the first time, right?
Yeah, well, you can go back file 3 years once you prove you're the sole proprietor. That's the point of opening that trust and activating that trust. That's what
Right.
you're doing.
Because you can't, if you already did it a year or two, you're not going to delete it. They try to get you to say, oh, because you didn't put the amount of money for the loss, did you want to delete the business?
No, you don't delete the business. That's the
No, I
problem.
said no, no. So
Yeah.
they can't delete it for you if you said no, correct?
No, they can't delete it. It just won't be no information showing and
Right,
added to the 1040 unless you add the information. It'll just sit
right.
there. But let me get, I
But
see somebody else's hand, see Medutio. So let's get a few
Yeah,
other.
I also wanted to say something, but yeah,
Yeah, we
just
got Bobby and then we got Carlin. Go ahead, Bobby first, and then we got Carlin.
oh,
uh,
I wanted to wait now, but okay, then I go. Yeah, so with me, I have my sole prop account, business sole proprietor account, and savings sole prop account. Everything went well. I had some problems with Bank of America, but everything went well. I had to travel to the bank I was denied for my secured credit card because of Capital One, where I did not pay the account. I wanted to do security leverage and I failed. And this is what I need to clean up, what is in process. So then I will be approved. But my question is, since I have now my sole proprietor bank accounts, and since my sole proprietor is owned with my trust, so all the funds I receive, they are owned by my trust. I would like to know, Wallace, what do you see as smoothest way to close your utility accounts or internet account and switch it over to your trust? Would you just call them, tell them to cancel the contract, to terminate it, and then 5 minutes later call them again and then open a new account for the same address? Or do you see complications like extra fees for penalties or something else? I would like to know a smooth process if you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. So I want to save that one for our bottom part right here on the bottom. How do I secure land, resources, electricity, water, food, and so on?
Okay.
So I'll get
Okay.
to that. I'm glad you asked that question because that is part of this, what we're talking about, why the banking system is important to understand this next part.
Okay.
I'll read in just a few. Okay, we got Carlin, and then I'll get to our next point to answer that question.
Yeah, I was trying to find out. I was doing the trust tax return like I did last year, and I had just so now I don't get flagged and get that notice again to put it in Chat GPT. And Chat GPT, number one, I did work with Vince before, and I don't know if the description for the schedule for the 1099Bs, is it the same? Like what I had did is that I put the, say like if it was a car, I would put like a car or like a truck on that description, but I know Vince and I think as well, I'm not sure you saying put real money monetized. That's what we should put instead, right?
I don't necessarily put that. I put secured cash paid because I'm using like most of the time secured credit or secured cash.
Okay.
So it's being creative in that box. I don't think that there's anything wrong that they're gonna say, hey, you did it wrong and not approve it. I think they're focused on your numbers more and your dates. Possibly your numbers more than the dates as well.
So you're saying the description part for in the 1099B secure cash instead of real money monetized.
I wouldn't say instead. I would say that you can be creative and type what you want. Some people put account numbers there. Some people put the full, what do you call it? The address. You know, there's so many different descriptions because you're saying the description box, right?
Yeah, like what is the description of the asset or whatever? Because when I did that and I put in Chat GPT, so I put mine was the equipment, which is a truck, and Chat GPT now keep asking me about depreciation of the truck, and that it doesn't make sense because I put everything else zero, just like Vince used to say before, and it was saying, so how can everything be zero if it's a truck and it's supposed to depreciate? That seems like like is inflated or something. I don't know. And then it was also telling me that I should remove the fuel, which was the 30,000 because that normally gets flagged. So
Yeah, so when you're doing your 1099B, to kind of get you to the point, it's your trust doing your 1099B for the cash. So when we do a 1099B, it says on the instructions, it's the cash paid or the credit that you paid. Other than that, I mean, your truck or your car isn't doing anything. It's just an asset. So whatever the cash that you paid to keep the truck with gas in it, or whether the cash that you paid to keep it paid for, that's what you're claiming. Other than that, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong, but somebody else said they may have an answer to it, but I don't want to bog you all down with technical, intricacies of the 1099s or what can or cannot work on that box.
I just want to do it correctly instead of, because there was so much confusion. Vince was saying one way, and I know things is said differently, which what you're doing. Because especially I just even realized what I had did with him was the irrevocable trust. And then just last week, I'm like, okay, you said I mean, the irrevocable trust, and just last week you said do revocable trust, and even now, I'm seeing your whole thing is revocable trust. So I'm like, okay, now I gotta go file revocable trust because the one I had was an irrevocable trust. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
so when you file, the way we do it, and we're going to keep it very easy now, is a simple trust. So even if you have an irrevocable, make sure you select simple trust.
yeah, I
All
did
right.
that part. It's just that Chat GPT keeps telling me that it's gonna be flagged, and I need just
Right,
like I got
right.
the notice.
It can be
Yeah.
flagged because of the complexities of things at times. So ChatGPT isn't really smart as you all think it is.
Mm-mm.
You have to train your ChatGPT as well. So I just want to put that out there. I know you keep mentioning ChatGPT, but they actually you have to ask a question a certain way to make sure you get the right answer. It has to be according to the law. Make sure you always ask a question according to the law. But we'll get into that. I don't want to go into
Okay.
too much of the taxes today. It's more of us staying out of their system as much as possible, which I'll be talking about on our next slide right here. Whereas,
I
why do
just
I
want to
need to come out of it anyway?
Okay, this last thing was that going back to them when they was talking about the Schedule C. When we do the tax return, are we just sending in you just doing the 1040 and the Schedule C? Those are the only two documents being sent to the IRS, or is there any other forms besides that we're gonna have to send? For example, I know last week we talked about the insolvency, um, which has the 982. Is that form going to be sent in with it too, or is it just the 1099 and I mean 1040
Well,
and
you can't do any of that without activating your soul. So even if you were to prove the insolvency, right? Well, you can't stay in the individual side.
I did file the sole proprietor information that you stated.
No problem. So you just do the software, you follow the instructions, and whatever documents are attached to the 1040, it'll just send it in for you. So I wouldn't try to think on it too much.
So
Someone would try to mail it in. We don't mail it in. You
okay.
know, that way we may use the software. Then the software downloads, a neat file, and then we mail in, do the instructions what the software tells us to mail in. That way
Okay,
it keeps
so
it easy.
it would just be the 1040 and the Schedule C. That's it.
Well, we'll be according to the software. There'll be more things to mail in if according to what it says to mail in order the IRS wants to see it.
Okay.
So
All
the
right.
answer to that is detailed. You will have to look at a private meeting and then we
Mhm.
can go into how that looks on your screen. But we're not able to answer questions on tax questions and
Oh,
answers that are detailed like that. So let me answer this next question before we get into other questions real quick. And the real reason why this is hard for a lot of us, and I'm gonna tell you why, before I even get to taxes, is why do I need to come out of the banking system? Best known today as the Federal Reserve System or federal notes. So before you even do your taxes, you got to make sure you came out of their banking system in those Federal Reserve notes. That's first things first. Because if you get out of that, then you're going to receive what they call, what do you say that again? They call it lawful currency. You receive lawful currency. So we'll get into how lawful currency looks when you receive lawful currency rather than receiving what they call Federal Reserve notes. Why your sole proprietor is poor and your trusts are poor until you fund them. This is the one that I'm talking about right here. So a lot of us are still trying to figure out why things aren't going all the way through is because you're keeping everything on the individual side. But you have to get it out of the individual and give it over to the trust. So one of your trusts today I'm talking about is your sole proprietor. That's your sole proprietor account. Your next trust is the revocable EIN. That's another trust account. So you got to make sure you have two trust accounts that are activated. What does that account mean? That means that you have a bank. That's the key one that you show that you're coming out of their banking system, the way they have the Federal Reserve System, and you're going back in as a sole proprietor. But you got to come out first. Because if you're going to stay there the way you are, then you're not going to be able to get the sole proprietor the way that you should get it. So I hope that helps with the layer to why you have to do these steps in this way in order to feel that you're actually going back into the banking system as a business rather than staying on the personal side, because that's really what it breaks down. You begin to no longer take it personal. So if you're not taking it personal, then you always keep it as business. As we went into some of my slides last week, I showed you all how it looks for me. You want to make sure you have those cards. So even if somebody said, hey, this process or that process, at the end of the day, you want to make sure you have the cards. When you have the cards, you can prove everything a lot easier. And we'll go into that next. All right, go ahead, Brother Raymond. I see your hand.
Don't make me lie. Oh, okay. I had a 1099 question. Is that okay?
Yeah, let me give an exhibit of how it looks before you feel the 1099s are going to go all the way through. Because I know everyone wants to do the 1099s.
And then we got to the 17th to report, correct?
Yeah, you
To
can
put
have
them
as long you
in.
have as much time as you need before the deadline. So we like to say some people are trying to backfile a lot of things. That's fine, but make sure you were on time and you had already done your taxes on time, and then you're backfiling too. That way, the system looks at it the correct way. Like, hey, well, this person isn't, you know, doing this late. We'll say.
On time means the April 15th or whatever that date is.
Or you put an extension in, or you did it before the date. Turned your tax. You turned your taxes in. They say they tax return. This is what I did the whole year, and I was able to do it for up to 2 years. Like the brother said, he was in building his credit for a year. So now you can actually get a line of credit with the bank. So you need the card. That's what we're saying. So don't just drive, you know, all the cash inside the same account and say, hey, I'm doing business. You're not. It's impossible to prove to these people that you're doing business and you had all the cash inside your individual bank account. Any questions or thoughts on this? This is very important for us to make sure we see and know what it looks like.
Yeah. So what two accounts did you say we need? Two trust account you said we need for this?
Your sole proprietor is a trust account. That's the first trust account. You got to have a soul. You got to save your soul. You get a savings account for the sole proprietor. So all the money goes into the savings account, and then you use that money. Then the savings account, you create the secured credit. That's how you save your soul fully. So now all your money is in your secured credit card, and you pay your bills with your secured credit, right?
And what's the second trust? You said we need a second trust.
That'll be the trust EIN, which we're not going to get into today. That'll be the EIN. Also gets an account as a DBA.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that'll get into why you have to get yourself right first, and you also have to fund the trust. So you have to be funded, and the trust has to be funded. Go ahead.
Some banks, like I do have a um, sole prop business account, and so I'm in Michigan. So even in PNC, they even with the sole prop account, they charge you depending on like your savings or your checking. So if you don't have a certain dollar amount in checking, so the majority of your money, like in your savings account, they charge you on a certain dollar amount. So even if we have the sole props as far as the checking and the savings to turn around, do you think that that same banking institution will be able to give you a trust account? Is that where we should go because we've already been doing business with them?
No, no. You need to do it. You need to continually do something different, which is a DBA for your trust, the EIN. It has to stay in a sole proprietor account.
Okay.
Once you get a trust account, they're going to become a co-trustee. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Then they'll be able to take a limited power of attorney in some form over the trust. Sometimes it's good. It depends on what type of trust you create with the bank. Maybe a community trust. You want to give co-trustee to the bank. That's a great trust to give co-trustee. but not your revocable.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope that helps for anyone. This everything is the same questions with the same way you did it with your name. So your name doesn't really need a DBA to get the account. But we found out some people were able to get the business account without even doing the DBA. All right, so that's our layer for that question in the notes. We went into, I think somebody else had a thought, but let me make sure I said the last thing. Your sole proprietor is poor, right? There's no money in that sole proprietor account. Your sole proprietor is poor, and your trusts are poor until you fund them. So all your money has to go into those accounts. All the cash, all the money, the paycheck. When you get your direct deposit, make sure direct deposit goes to the sole proprietor. Direct deposit goes to it. Don't do it to the individual account. Don't go to the cash app, right? Get out of the cash app. That's what I was saying. You got to come out of their banking system, best known as the Federal Reserve System or federal notes. Once it goes to your sole prop, it's business. Now they have to give you real lawful currency, right? It has to be real, what they call it, real money. Somebody said earlier, real money monetized. Yeah, it's been monetized because I am monetizing the money as a sole proprietor. So this is where they get to the last question right here. How to start your business without the United States corporation. And I'll get into this next week because I know our time is up. I didn't want to hold you all much longer than time allots. But we've been getting into some topics that's going to take us further into our business. Because we can no longer just sit around and say, hey, I need them to do this for me. They're not going to do this. It's all going to be on you. How to start your business without the United States corporation, as prescribed and shown by the Department of Treasury, the IRS. Why power of attorney is the most powerful document to deal with all money. Here we go. So this is how you get your power right here to deal with the money, the real money monetized that they talk about. How you going to deal with the real money monetized without knowing why your power of attorney is the most powerful document that
Mark,
you
can you put
have
that
in
back
your
on the
banking system?
screen? Can you put that back on the screen so we can see it? What you're reading?
Okay, let me put it back on the screen.
Yeah.
So this is your powerful document right here, your power of attorney. The document itself, not the IRS document, right? Not the IRS document, but your document that you created. That I always tell y'all, it's like if you created it, it's a lot more powerful. But if they created it, then they got a little bit of power in that thing.
It's never for you.
Exactly. It's for their benefit, their
Yep.
beneficial interests. What about your beneficial interests?
No, that's right. You're right about that.
That's right.
They've been taking our beneficial interest for too long, y'all. We got to put a stop to it now. Come on now, y'all. They've been taking our
That's
credits and
right.
everything and still using them until we stop it.
Hmm. This is why your power of attorney is the most powerful document
Mm.
to deal with all money you have in banking systems and private banking as unincorporated. That's right. Once you have that sole proprietor, everything is unincorporated. That's
Right.
why we keep it in the sole proprietor. People ask, well, why not the trust account? Well, the trust account can become a corporate trust if you
Mm-hmm.
have a corporate trust account.
Can you give an example of the power of attorney that we create?
Yeah, so it'd be the state. The state is the power of attorney that they created over your birth record, right? So now you have to take the power back by creating your state power of attorney. So that example will be on, and I'll get into that next week because I know for our time, I want to get to the answer to how you can secure this money, the land, and no, not money, I'm sorry, secure the electricity, resources, and things without money. So you better live without money. I'll be explaining this in just a few.
Oh, yeah.
But
We
that
need
power of
to know
attorney, that
that.
document, is going to be your general durable power of attorney that you take back from your state. So that's the answer to what the words look like if you search that in. General durable power of attorney.
Thank you.
No worries. And then we'll get that document to you if you all are in our courses. If you have those courses, those documents are all given to you freely. If you're not in our courses, we will have to get you that into some of our trust study plans. Go ahead, Brother Ray. Or somebody else was going to say something. All right, so how to start your business without the United States is where we get the trust EINs. I was telling you all about that before. And you're also going to use your social security card and name and number as a sole proprietor. Make sure you totally understand and overstand and understand. Some people like to use these other words. We like to just say understand. Make sure you totally understand that your social security card now is a business. That's what it is. It's a business. It's not about us taking it personal, making it seem like it's mine or it's my personal property and things like that. It becomes from personal property to trust property. They need to know that it's your trust property. You know, it belongs now to the trust. But this is why your sole proprietor is still poor, because we have to give everything over to the sole proprietor, and we have to give everything from our sole proprietor over to our revocable living trust. So those are the steps that we're taking as we move away from the individual side. So that is why when you deal with all your money with the power of attorney, you have in your banking system in the private banking as an unincorporated. That's why this becomes unincorporated. Lastly, for this week, we'll close out. If anybody have any questions, feel free before I go into our last thing for this week.
I was just going to say, so you're really going to be teaching about this next week, right? You're going to go into details about what you just said.
Well, yeah, that's part of our trust. That's part of our course. So it's the highlighted course is power of attorney. Everything that I'm talking about, you can find on universitytechnicians.com. But I will be going into some details of some of the things that you get in that course with why the power of attorney is the most powerful document to deal with your money in the banking system.
I thought you was gonna show an example of the 1099 real quick, but
A
if not,
1099 example of you saying the show on the screen, the actual 1099?
well, I got a question about it. The
Okay.
you not you, but somebody said something about 1099 earlier. But
No, they ask about a description box. That's what they ask about. So, what was your question about the 1099?
my question, I'm just affirming the process as far as like the 1099A is the regular bill that I paid, right? It's showing I was charged and who I paid to. The 1099B is the same thing, but is on the B. And then on the second B, the beneficial, that's where I switch the payer and the payee and do the math on there, correct?
Why do you say switch? When people say switch, like why do you feel like you're actually having to walk through it that way? Are you doing it through your trust? That's the first question. Is it the sole proprietor that's filing the form?
Yes.
So if the sole proprietor files the form, then the sole proprietor is the trustee. So the first one is a payer, is the trustee paying the bill. That's the 1099B. That's the payer. The 1099A is the grantor. That's the way we look at it from there. The A is the grantor. And
Okay.
then, yeah, the C is, I mean, sorry, not the C, but the B that you said, the second B is the beneficiary, or the one that's receiving the benefits. So that's the
Okay.
beneficiary B.
Grantor, trustee, beneficiary. A,
Correct.
B, B. Okay.
There you go. It
And
has
then
to
you
be
list
said
it
that way,
as
or
trust.
it's going to seem like you're still on the individual side,
Right.
collecting the credits. That's why I'm saying I'm picking holes in this to make sure that you're not on
Mhm.
the individual side trying to collect beneficial interest.
Right. So each one of those forms have a section for grantor, trustee, and beneficiary to put as a
Well,
title.
it's implied when you fill
Okay.
it out.
Okay.
It's implied. If you don't know this when you're filling it out, then you fill it out as they say the individual. That's what they'll say. So when I select it, like I say, I'm already picking y'all brain. When I'm on the software, I don't select individual. I put business. So I'm just giving
Right.
y'all some answers. I'm just making sure. So that's probably why some of the B's didn't go through. Did you do it as an individual or did you do it as a business? Right? So this is where we get to I'm a tech, so I'm going to break down the technical details in the software to make sure there's no errors. All right, so that's why I do the software walkthroughs on Zoom, so I can see the screen and we look at your stuff privately. Or if it was a group of people that paid for a room, we all can do it all at one time. But I don't know how serious everybody is about this. But let me get to this last part to help us without money. Let's say you don't have no money, you don't have no 1099s, you don't know how to do none of these things. Well, you can still use your sole proprietor to obtain these things, which we'll talk about. I won't be able to get into too much this week because I see our time is allotted, but I'll go into about maybe 5 to 10 minutes of it to help us with some details of how this looks. So, some of the details of how do I secure land? How do I secure resources? Right? So, that's our first two, land. Well, you got a name now, right? Your name is a business, so you can secure land. You got a trust name. Trust name can secure some land. Check mark. You know, where the money at? Where did you need money to secure land? Name it can be transferred to the trust property. You can tell the person, hey, when you transfer it to the trust, I put you in as a beneficiary. You get paid. I just gave y'all another answer. You have no money. You don't need money to deal with land. Next is resources. You got a lot of resources on there. You got trees on there. You got grass. You may have animals. You may have whatever it is that's on that land. Resources. Food, equipment. Next is electricity. We went over how that's free. All you need is the EIN. We'll get into that answer for the brother he asked to answer question earlier. What do? You have to turn off the old social individual account. You got to turn it off. You got to go to the bill company and turn your utilities off. I know it's hard. I was there too. You know, you have to turn off the old account and you now turn it on into the name of a trust. Use the trust EIN printout or a W-9. So electricity can be obtained and you can secure it without money. You don't need any money.
Well, the trust you're talking about is the sole prop.
No, the trust would be the EIN, the trust EIN. So you need the trust EIN because you're securing the trust. And you're also going to be securing your sole proprietor. Sole proprietor is your social. You're moving it out of your social into a trust EIN. Now, not all of us are going to try to call it and transfer it. You cannot transfer. It will not work. Do not try to transfer. And if you do transfer anyway, they're going to attach your individual account to the trust. And trust me, they're going to do it because you
Correct.
won't.
You can see it by Google. They explain it there too.
Okay. You see, that makes sense, right? They're gonna attach the individual to the trust if you don't do it. If you don't do it the way that I just said, you got to turn it off in the social. Let your lights go off for like an hour. Turn off the water. Turn off the gas. Turn off everything in that social, and then turn it back on with just the EIN. They got your name on there as a trustee. You
Here
see?
in Michigan, they didn't even, when you schedule to disconnect the services and add another one, they're going to set a date. It's just going to happen automatically in the computer world. You're not
Mhm.
going to get your lights off or services and then back on in a minute. It's going to happen. You ain't going to even know.
That's right. If you do it the way if you do it smooth, like you said, it should be smooth.
1 second. So, Brunova, you said you could call him, put him on notice that you're going to terminate the contract in 2 weeks at this and this day. Then they terminate it, but you still going to have to create a new account for the trust. So, how did you do this?
Yeah, but you making it seem difficult. All you doing when you call them,
Yeah.
you saying, I'm disconnecting my services and adding a new person. They'll even ask you, it's a business. What's the EIN? You're gonna give them
Yep.
the EIN, and then they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna do it on this day.
But is
That's
this nicht,
it.
is that not an assignment? Is this not a transfer?
Nope.
No, it's not even difficult. Like I say, you're gonna call them and say, I want my services disconnected, and I want to add
Ah,
a new person paying.
yeah, this is easy. And there are no
You're
People
penalties.
used to
overthinking it.
do
Okay.
this with their kids. If I was a parent and my lights got cut
Yes,
off,
yes,
I call
yes,
them and put them in the kids' name.
yes. Okay. Yeah, easy.
Yeah,
All right.
simple
Yeah.
like that. You're just gonna do a business, which is your trust.
Yes, yes, yes. No, all good. No, this is easy now. Yeah. Sorry.
Stop
Right?
overthinking it.
Exactly.
Simple. In and
Yeah.
out.
Thank you, ECAT. Go ahead. I'll hear
You're
you.
welcome. Oh no, that's it. I was trying to help him in the chat, but no. The more you're overthinking, the more they smell you. They go like, "Oh, I see what you're doing."
Mm-hmm. You're
If
right.
Mm-hmm.
it's guess what? If it's personal, like I said in the chat, obviously I talked about it last week. If it's personal, goal is to set up the new service, make sure it's installed, and then deal with the rest. You can tell them, "I'm moving out of this house in 3 weeks," right? But you're gonna call them after you set up service, or either way, you give them notices. Hey, I'm moving out in about 3 weeks. Make sure the installation date is within that time frame.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think like Blue Nova said, disconnect the service in 2
No, no,
weeks at this
no,
and this
no,
day.
no, no. You're thinking too. I'm not saying primitives because that's how we were taught. You're thinking too like personal.
Mm-hmm. You gotta let it be more business the way she's
Right, right.
explaining it. Like, think of you handling business. Look, I'm moving out. I got a new
That's
tenant
it.
moving in. That's the
That's
way
it.
Blue said. Like, it's a
That's
new
it.
roommate moving into this room, right?
Right, right.
This guys, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Don't
just like
overthink it.
Blue Nova said, huh?
well, it's like Blue Nova said, but just still
Yeah.
don't think of it like a let me disconnect it and just do it all in one day. You can
Oh,
still
okay. You want it,
you
yeah,
can put
you're
the
more
date.
professional.
You can
Gotcha.
put the date that you want to do it. You can put
Right.
date start time and then you can put disconnect on that same day. You can write it out in the future if you wanted to.
And unfortunately, you're gonna get prorated. You're gonna get a penalty. Depends on your contract. You gotta deal with that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's expensive.
just come out of your name. That's the goal anyway.
Hmm.
And pay it off. Pay it off and pay the full balance off with your taxes. We'll get into the next one is water. Then we're going to be closing out for this week. We got water. So the water process is the same way for electricity. You want to get water. You got to have running water. We don't need you without running water. Even if you got land, go ahead and get these people to go ahead and get a pipe out on that land and get some running water. Or if you got to drill the well, get the license, get the permit, whatever it takes, get that water, right? These are the things that you need to secure. This is without money. Food. You can get benefits directly. You get books and medicine and banks. All these things, these are all coming together without money. The food, you can get food assistance. You can get all those things. They have it in every state. Once you understand how this works through the sole proprietor, you automatically qualify for food assistance. All these things work for businesses on the business side. Books, medicine, banks, and businesses, banks, security, community. These are the last things that you're going to be dealing with is security and community. We'll talk about that more next week. And we'll also talk about how you're going to start your charter. You can start unincorporated communities or you can start a town. I know we're getting big, but if you start something big, this takes you into the biggest layer that you need where you're actually building a trust. So that is what this goes into. This actually goes into the next layers of life when you start dealing with taking your life back. That's why we wanted to go into that this week. But thank you all for coming in. Don't want to hold you much longer. Appreciate all the feedback, and we'll meet again next week.
Great class. Nightfall, everybody. Be safe out there.